The Philippines hosts race number 8. Daf Sanchez on pole from Remy LeBeau and Revo. Alongside him, Charles Hernandez starting 4th from David 12 and Salos Kynes, your top 6. Sebastian Ocampo starts 7th from Daniel Bogdasarov and Hugh Cable, and Renault top 10, Nicholas Palomino for Red Bull Sims Racing. Marcus Nelson is 11th from Sigmund and Casper LeBeau. Then it's Linus Eriksson 14th from First Theo and Du Bois. 17th place is our full catfish, then it's your Puffin Babins Jr. from the back 3, Boinkro Ezra, the Red Devil, and a knock you. Casper LeBeau sits 2nd in the standings heading into this race, but he's down in 13th, with Revo starting 3rd. Can he increase his lead? All 5 lights go on! And we are underway in the Philippines, and it's a great start off the line from their home Champ Car World Series champion, Daf Sanchez, holding on to the race lead as his teammate goes side by side with Remy LeBeau in the new look Red Bull Sims Racing number 26. They come through the opening in a couple of corners, and unfortunately for Remy, he's forced to the outside. Revo makes the lunge coming through turn 5, and he takes the lead for all of 0.2 of a second there. Boinkro Ezra with a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision. Revo having to slot back into the slipstream of his teammate. That allows Remy LeBeau to go side by side with the Italian driver heading into the 6-7 chicane. Makes the lunge, contact made, and I think Revo having to cut over. Yes, he had to go over the curbs there. He drops down to 3rd place into the clutches of Dragon Racing's number 52, Charles Hernandez from Thailand. Going side by side, almost there, but I feel like he's more worried about David 12 in that number 12 Rocket Venturi car. Salos Kynes started 6th, looking to the outside of Charles. They're about to go 3 wild. It feels as 12 gets a time penalty for causing a collision. Almost another collision there between the Spaniard and the Thailand driver as they come through the final 2 corners. Revo just about holding on to the top 3 places. The top 3 as they were on the grid. Daf Sanchez leading from Remy LeBeau and Revo. On board we go with the 55 of Salos Kynes. His teammate didn't get the best qualifying performance, as now David 12 in that Rocket Venturi car looking for some positions in front of him, and they haven't come because Salos Kynes right now just on a tear in that number 55 Mercedes EQ car. We go on board with the man who could have won last time out, missed out on victory by a hair. Here comes the 52 making the lunge on Revo. Losing out, has to go to the outside line, but he holds on to 4th place as attack mode is online. The Red Devil now at the very back of the pack with a track limits warning. Remy LeBeau, he may have attack mode, but he's dropped off the back of Daf Sanchez, falling into the clutches of the number 7 right behind him. This is your points leader, the reigning series champion, trying to go for his 6th ERL Formula E championship win. No one has done more than 10 before, and aside from the one man who did that, Revo is currently the trailblazer. Many drivers finding themselves coming to blows with each other, and versus Theo now in front of Casper LeBeau. It looks like Amlin Aguirre, they want to continue their championship razzle-dazzle with Casper. They need, and they really need, to have an amazing strategy for the rest of this race. And as Remy LeBeau, Catfish, and Boinkro Ezra, as well as Marcus Nelson, as they've all come into the pits, it makes me wonder about DS Hyperdrive, now Nord Hyperdrive, sorry. They've got both of their drivers on the soft compound tyre, and now that means, since they're likely to pull in Daf Sanchez, does that mean that they're going to compromise Revo's strategy as contact made between Hernandez and Kynes going through the chicane? A little bit of damage to that 55, but he gets the run that he needs, not just to move up into 3rd, but he's now got to run on Revo if he wants to try and make a pass down into turn 8. We go on board with the 55, and he just holds on to his position. He's not going for the lunge just yet. Is he going to go for it coming through the 3rd sector as 12 gets a time penalty? Ooh! Big hit for Salos Kynes, slamming his car into the wall. 12 now has a 10-second time penalty. Eriksson with a 5-second time penalty as the back of the pack now congregates together. 22% for Revo. He's got some damage to his car as he now leads. Sanchez exiting pit lane. This is bad news for Revo because now his tyres heated up to points where they shouldn't have been. They're at 19% right now. Bogdasarov started this lap at 30%, so not too sure if the softs can last too much longer. And Remy LeBeau's undercut has worked with a very good outlap. He's now 2 seconds in front of Daf Sanchez, almost 3 seconds at the next split. Front wing damage for Charles Hernandez as well. Salas Kynes had to come into the pits, as we all know. As now Bogdasarov going side by side with the man from Thailand. Into the chicane they come. Almost touching wheels there. A little bit of being banging and roughing them up isn't too bad unless it puts you on the wall. And Remy LeBeau with a time penalty. That's contact with his former teammate who hits the wall. The Red Devil hits the wall. Now has front wing damage at 1%, 0% for the Dutch driver. Front puncture going down the backstretch. Catfish comes up and clears him. Palomino next man to meet up with the Dutchman. Meanwhile, Revo's making his way through the final check. There is Palomino punts him into the wall. And yeah, front puncture for Revo coming through the final few corners. Bad news for the Red Devil. Just ran out at the very end of the lap for Palomino. Does he have damage? Ooh! Oh, that's many a spin for the 99. 12 goes sideways. It's a pile-up. It's a pile-up here in the Philippines. Yellow's in sector 3. 12 has damage. Puff has managed to get away with it. No, damage. And not Q, the Red Devil, and Theo all with damage somehow. No full course caution is called. Casper LeBeau gained a position in the pit stop phases, but he's still outside of the top 10, which scores points. Revo dropped to 7th, not involved with any of the Red Devil's antics. Palomino with a time penalty hanging over his name. In fact, both of the Red Bull Sims drivers with time penalties hanging over their heads for their next pit stop, which should come as long as no misfortune befalls them. You can see that 5 laps on the hards is very much viable as the 93 of Nicholas Palomino going side by side with not just Marcus Nelson. And Puff has had enough of his own. Yellow's in sector 2 as Catfish almost taking himself out there. Contact with the side of Palomino's number 93 machine. But he holds on, coming through the final few corners. Catfish dives down into pit lane. And, oh, it's a rear puncture for Sebastian Ocampo. Rear puncture for Ocampo as Puff runs into the back of David 12. Talk about bad news at home. To have a puncture after starting 7th in your team, having one of their best qualifying performances as a whole, and now on lap 5 or 6 if you prefer, you suffer with punctures. That's just highly unfortunate. Thankfully, there was only really one incident that happened, and that was for Puff, involving him down into pit lane for the 76. Remy LeBeau leads from his teammate Nicholas Palomino and Revo. If the race was finished as is, Revo increases his gap to Casper LeBeau, but I believe, ignoring penalties of course, Revo and Remy LeBeau would actually draw level on points. Look at Casper LeBeau on the back of Salas Kynes on those mediums. Now in 7th, but there have been drivers who have come in for their second stop already. The Frenchman trying to hold it around the outside after a non-score in the FG series. Close to the wall, but he keeps it out. Holding it side by side with the Spaniard coming through the final 2 corners, and he gets himself up into 6th place. Remy LeBeau from the race lead dives down into pit lane, will serve that 5-second time penalty. Now Revo on the back of Nicholas Palomino, whose soft tyres reaching the end of their useful lifespan at 27%. Where's Revo going to make the move? He's going to make the lunge going into 5. He's going to get attack mode on the main straight. And that is the race lead going to the Italian driver. He's had harder moves to make to take the race lead around this track, I'll say that much, but it's still a very, very clean pass. Bogdasarov going down the straight. Rear wing wide open to take 3rd place, away from UK ball, but he'll be able to try and go for the switchback. The rear wing won't open for Palomino going down the straight. He's already dropped outside of attack mode going through the chicane. David 12 down into pit lane, strapping on some hard compound tyres. On board we go with Casper LeBeau, who's going to go side by side and in front of UK. He's trying to get as close to his title rival as humanly possible here. That title rival, of course, being Revo. They make their way through Sector 3. A lot of weaving due to the lack of grip. That 93 of Palomino likely to come in soon. Revo staying out for a third tour on those mediums. Hyperdrive Racing are doing their best to extend every stint, and I'm not too sure as to why. It's not a bad strategy, it's just not the strategy I would have gone for. Maybe they're monitoring Casper, maybe they're looking at Casper's strategy and thinking that's probably what we should be doing with Revo. Who knows? As Daf Sanchez runs in 6th, his countryman Sebastian Ocampo down in 20th on the back of both Jaguar Martinis. Ocampo looking for the pass with the lunge and contact made. They keep it as clean as they can, but both of them have had very scruffy races today. Ocampo just about holding on to 19th as an OQ dives down into pit lane. Bogdasarov, the two Frenchmen going over second position. Either way, this is the fight for the podium places. UK leads everyone who's just come into the pits, by the way, in 11th, but for everyone who's made their second stops, it's Daf Sanchez in 6th who leads them. He'll have to pit again, I'm sure. Casper LeBeau still on the back of Bogdasarov, not able to make any passes. Had to drop behind going through the long turn that starts the sector. It's into the wall, facing sideways there for the awful catfish. Remy LeBeau now coming up to the back of his former teammate. Marcus Nelson may have been involved in that, as Casper LeBeau, Revo, and your boy all down into pit lane. Remy LeBeau looking to try and go around the outside, makes it very easy for him. Does awful catfish, who dives down into the pits. Times was still out there for Hyperdrive for a little longer than you'd expect. And that's a third stop for the Power Motorsport man as we look at Ocampo going side by side and past. You are past, so still giving his home fans something to smile about, making those moves. If you ignore what position he's making them for, you could easily get away with saying that he's had a pretty good race. Revo's come out of the pits on soft compound tyres, so that's how we know Nord Hyperdrive are going for another stop. And another stint, that 89 of UK on the back of Remy LeBeau trying to make the pass up into 6th from 7th. On board we go with Palomino for a second there. There goes UK ball. And, you know, Remy can really make too much of a challenge without attack mode going down the straight. It's a very long straight to not have attack mode going down. Sanchez has moved up into 2nd place in front of Marcus Nelson, who's struggling on those hards, not as much as Charles Hernandez. Tyre age really does matter quite a bit. And we got yellows in Sector 3. It's Marcus Nelson. Nelson's hit the wall. Did not expect to see that. Sanchez comes in with Charles Hernandez. Hernandez coming out of the pits with Sanchez, but Hernandez has made one less stop. So he is racing with the pole sitter right now. UK Ball takes the lead in front of Marcus Nelson. Of course, all of the drivers in the top 5, top 6, maybe even top 10 have another stop to go in this race. Actually, you know what? Everyone has another stop to make. If you're not on the hard tyres on lap 10, you don't make it to the end. It's Revo moving up into the race lead past his first teammate. Casper LeBeau closing in on the British driver in front of him. And what can the 34 do here? He's going to get attack mode on the Monster Energy Power Motorsport man in front of him. Babinas Jr. with a track limits warning as he now goes side by side with UK Ball. Casper LeBeau takes 2nd place to keep himself in that championship fight with Revo in front. The reigning FG Series champion, 2nd in the FG Series points right now after losing points lead after a very scruffy race last time out. His dad hits the wall. A lot of weaving for the 26 there. And Marcus Nelson also with damage. I think that's from an earlier incident that we already covered. Your boy moves up in 7th. He's going to try and take 6th here. If Remy comes in, he's going to stay out. UK Ball and Palomino both down into pit lane. So now, on lap 11 and 14, your title protagonists are going to be fighting over the race lead, aren't they? Casper LeBeau and Revo, it's equal footing here. Amlin, Aguri versus Nord Hyperdrive as they head down the main straight, down into that chicane, the 6-7 chicane. Casper closing in with the rear wing wide open. He's going to make the lunge going down. That's a late break. That's amazing stuff from Casper LeBeau to take the lead. Waited till the very last moment. Revo now with the rear wing open for himself as well to try and just tell the rookie, no, that's my race lead. You're not taking that from me. I'll hold on to it. And he does hold on to it. That's great to see. A good old classic scrap from the ERL. So now, 4/10 is the margin out in front. They're likely both going to come in. It's going to come down to which team can get the fastest pit stop done. Zygmunt going around the outside of Remy LeBeau, almost forced into the wall there by the Frenchman. The Hungarian driver in the number 5 car, just about in front of Daf Sanchez as the race leaders do come in. Daniel Baltasarov on lap 12 of 14 now leads. Zygmunt dives down into pit lane with Remy LeBeau. Sanchez is now going to be second here. And it wasn't the best of pit stops for Amlin and Aguri, but they still managed to get Casper out in front of Revo. And in fact, they've managed to time this perfectly. Nicholas Palomino is behind Casper, but in front of Revo. That puts a man in between the two title protagonists. Here comes the 93 coming through turn 5, and he's not able to make a pass. But is Revo within attack mode range of Palomino? He is not. He isn't. He's going to need to leverage all of his gaining on a slipstream that unfortunately for the Italian has not come. Casper's going to be moving through the field here at a rate of knots using attack charge on corner exit. Revo finally with attack mode and using the tandem as well, but is it too little too late because Casper LeBeau in the 34 is up into 4th place. He could cause a potential revolution of rules for drivers in the ERL. That 34 looking for the pass on Daf Sanchez, keeping it side by side and forced off the road in fact is the 34. And for Sanchez, as we go on to the penultimate lap, this is his home track. He didn't want to give up that position too easily, but he just had to. As we're on to lap 13 of 14, Baltasarov, the race leader at 40% tyre wear, should get him to the end of this race. Cable in second, 8 seconds off the lead. Can Casper LeBeau catch up to the Frenchman who leads? Revo getting past his teammate. Or is he? Because he's on the outside. One of these two is going to get attack mode. And it's Revo who gets it as Casper LeBeau now going side by side with Cable. Revo closing in on the two, dueling over 3rd and 2nd. Here comes the lunge for Casper. Contact almost forced Cable into the wall. And almost contact between the British driver and the Italian of Revo in that 7 car, who gets side by side and moves up into 2nd place. Last of the late breakers for the 7, taking brilliant advantage of a rookie mistake, a rookie error for the ace champion in Casper LeBeau. And now, swing and a miss, almost contact there. That's some very aggressive driving, just trying to hold on to the position. If Casper can be ahead of Revo, he can take the points lead as yellow flags flying. Oh, that's Babinis Jr. facing backwards as we begin the final lap here in Manila. Daniel Baltasarov leading this race, 3 seconds in front of Revo with medium tyres at 20% tyre wear. I think he can make it to the end. I'm not too confident about Daf Sanchez, but of course he's been in the dirty air. It's going to be a lot harder to hold onto your tyres in that state. And Revo's drawn out 2 seconds. And he's actually closing up through the braking points because those softs, which are younger, they've got more grip through the slow sections. So it's going to help him out in the final sector for sure. Hernandez running into the back of pole sitter Daf Sanchez. Sanchez going to drop down to 7th here as he doesn't have attack mode. And for Daniel Baltasarov, the Team Edam's Renault driver, 1.9 seconds is the margin. but he just about has managed to hold on to those medium compound tyres, which have hit 9%, 8%. Revo's gaining, but his gains aren't enough to stop the 97 as Marcus Nelson has an incident. Daniel Bogdasarov takes victory in the Philippines. It's front wing damage from the number 13, in fact, as the rest of the field now completing this Manila ePrix. Casper LeBeau coming across the line in third, holding on to that title charge. Fastest lap going to Salos Kynes, a 1:15.016, as Ezra just about fails to take ninth on the road, or get ninth, because of Nelson's 5-second time penalty. And that major damage for Babinas Jr. still causing some issues as Versio down in 20th, losing 19th place to an OQ. And a full car puncture for both Jaguars. Both Jaguars with full car punctures. They'll be 21st and 22nd. I know they had a very scruffy race throughout this Manila ePrix, but I didn't expect it to be to the point where they forgot to bring them in for their final stops. They just forgot. Coming to the line with the Red Devil at the very back. Here's your podium. Team Edams Renault taking victory this season with Daniel Bogdasarov on top from Revo and his title rival Casper LeBeau. This sets up quite an interesting second half of the season. This race, of course, marking the halfway point. Remember that the fan boost vote still very much active for both Formula E and the Champ Car World Series. That will be linked in the description of this race. As for the rest of your finishes, Cable missing out on the podium from Nicholas Palomino and Daph Sanchez. Salos Kynes was 7th from Charles Hernandez and Onkaro Ezra, with your boy running out your point scorers. Remy LeBeau 11th from Zygmunt and Marcus Nelson. Then it's Linus Eriksson, Arthur Catfish, Babinas Jr., David 12th, Sebastian Ocampo, Inoki, Versio, and the two Jaguars. You were puffed in front of the Red Devil. Revo now with a much larger lead in points on 91. He is 4 points up on Casper LeBeau after today's race. Daph Sanchez moves up into third with a three-way tie for fourth behind him. That encompasses the two Red Bull Sims and Cable. Linus Eriksson is 7th from Versio and Daniel Bogdasarov after his win. The Red Devil is 7th from a two-way tie for 11th between Arthur Catfish and Hugh Puff. Salos Kynes is 13th from Charles Hernandez and David 12th, then a Zygmunt. Babinas Jr. tied on points with Onkaro Ezra, Not Q, your boy, Sebastian Ocampo, and Marcus Nelson. In the Constructors' Championship, heading into the 9th round of the Championship, as I've just said the word Championship twice, Nord Hyperdrive are 30 points up on Amelin and Andretti, who are only 7 points up on Red Bull Sims Racing. Power Motorsport, best of the rest on 90 points. Meanwhile, Jack and Martini on a very nice 6-7 points in 5th. Then it's Team Edams Renault in 6th from Mercedes EQ and Andretti Autosport. Dragon Racing on point behind Andretti. Then it's Rocket Venturi and next EV TCR. Very interesting results we're seeing so far this season. Palomino, by the way, is the only double race winner in this championship. He's the only one to do that. Win twice. And those are his only point scores as well. In terms of what we could see after this, who knows? It's going to be quite an interesting second half of the season. And it's going to start with an exciting 9th round of the championship. Remember, you can still vote for any of the 22 Formula E drivers and any of the 22 Champ Car World Series drivers in their respective polls, linked in the description of this race. But from me and all of us here at Sparkplug Motorsports, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time then when the Electric Racing League returns.